Today we're going to talk a little bit more about forums and their importance of the internet. I feel like they're one of the most important parts of the web just because they're a way that we can use to communicate data back and forth from a server and interact, and adds that level of interacting and sending data. This is an example of one here of Spotify's sign up page, right? You could put in an email and a password. A password might mask your characters. It might have some kind of drop down, something to put numbers in that won't let you put letters, but only numbers. Check boxes and radio buttons and check boxes. All are different ways of sending that data. Forms can be simple like this. They can be beautiful with color and rounded corners and all kinds of things. And they can be as simple as, something like this on Google. I think this is probably the most simple form there is. Fill something out and hit Google search and send it on its way. And so today I wanted to dive more into that and what forms look like. So what we're going to do is here above the copyright, I'm going to take out this email me, because often these email me's can get scraped online and your email address could be given out somewhere to some bot to spam you or something. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type out form, and within the form brackets here we can start laying out different form elements, and we will, and we're going to show you in future videos what some of those form controls might look like. But there's some parts of a form that are crucial for it to succeed, and the first one might be the action. And the action, what that is where are you going to send this data? Okay, if I type out a form with a username and password, I need to send that somewhere to be authenticated. If I send out an email to someone, I need to authenticate that somehow. And so the file here you send that to is important. Now, I don't have a form processor set up on this page, but I'm just going to have this loop around back to itself on index.html. And if I want, I could use a hashtag and refer to a certain ID on the page. But if I don't put an ID on the page, and again, we call that a fragmented link identifier, and we've learned that in a previous video. But if I don't put anything, it just goes to the top of the page. And then another trick you can do is you can literally take out the file name, and it looks in the same file you're currently at, and then looks at the top of the page. And so if you ever see that hashtag just by itself, that's what that means. It's just sending to the same page and go to the top. But if this file did have like a PHP server or ASP or something in particular that could process it, I would send it to that page to take care of that. The other thing that is really crucial to have on here is your method. And your method by default uses a method called get. And get is a non-secure way. It ends up putting your data up inside the URL. If you've ever done a search for something, if I look for monkeys, something like that, and I look up here inside the top, you can see all these different variables, safe equals strict, and SXR, whatever that is, and I can expand it out. And it puts data up into this area here, and this is data that it uses so I can go back, and this is using kind of a get method to send its data back and forth. You can see ones here called source equals something, and the search equals whatever that word is. So kind of fun. Typically, if you want to keep your information private, you're going to want to use post, and we'll show you maybe the difference with both of those in a later video, but just know this isn't shown up in the URL. Now you can add some other things into this. Those two are required for sure that you're going to need, but we could do other things, like we could do an like a ID, and we could say ID equals form. That way we could reference this to style it somehow if we wanted to. We could also use something called an autocomplete. And autocomplete, we can tell it to allow If somebody's filling out their name and address or something like that and they have an autocomplete on their browser, they could do that and it would automatically fill it out. And if we didn't want them to have that, we could just turn it to off and that would take it away. There's other things you can use like name, and we use this for client-side scripting languages to let's say form control or something like that, to reference this out and do different things. So there's a few things part of form. At this point, it really shouldn't look any different than normal. You can't really see anything because we haven't put any form controls in here yet. But we're going to move that direction in the next video.